As you settle in, feeling the weight of your body, just noticing how easy it is to listen. And you may begin to wonder, is it your breath or the sound around you that first brings your focus inward? And as you try to figure that out, perhaps you notice the feeling in your hands, or maybe your feet, or was it your breath again? And the more you try to decide, the easier it becomes to simply drift deeper. Now, as you listen, you might start to notice something peculiar, the way words move in and out, how thoughts begin to shift, a sensation of wondering what comes next. And it's interesting, isn't it, how sometimes the mind tries to follow, but the more it tries, the more it relaxes, like trying to hold on to a dream. The moment you focus, it fades, and yet, somewhere in the background, something else emerges, something softer, something calmer. And as thoughts come and go, like waves on the shore, the spaces between them grow wider and deeper. And with each pause, you may notice that waiting for the next thought only brings a stillness, a quiet, a sense of just being. And perhaps you are wondering, am I already deep or still going deeper? And in asking that, a part of you already knows, because deepening is not something you do, but something that happens effortlessly, naturally, as you listen and let go. And the more you listen, the more you begin to notice that noticing happens before you notice it, and wondering happens before you wonder why. And yet, somehow, everything feels easier, softer, more distant, or closer. Is it your breath slowing down, or are you simply more aware of how it moves? And as you try to answer that, you might also wonder if relaxation is something you step into, or something that steps into you. And the more you wonder, the deeper you go, and the deeper you go, the more you wonder. It's a bit like walking down a path that only forms as you take the steps, and yet the steps are already there, waiting. And you may start to notice that noticing itself is changing. Like when you hear a word so many times, it begins to sound strange, like it's floating, separate from meaning. And yet somehow, it still makes sense. And as your thoughts drift, like clouds in a vast sky, you may wonder, are the clouds moving? Or is it the sky that shifts? Or maybe it doesn't matter, because you're already so far, so deep, so comfortably there, a moment of stillness, between here and there, between knowing and simply being. And in that moment, you find yourself sinking, settling completely, effortlessly down. And now, let me tell you a story. There was once a wanderer walking through a vast, dense forest. Now, this wasn't just any forest. No, this was a forest full of paths that twisted and turned in every direction, each path seemingly leading to somewhere, yet sometimes it would lead to nothing. And sometimes it would feel like the more the wanderer tried to find the right path, the more lost they became. You might wonder, how could someone ever find their way through such a forest? How could they know which direction was right, when every direction seemed to blend with the others? The wanderer wasn't sure. At first, it felt frustrating. It felt as if everything was scattered, pieces of thoughts, scattered like leaves on the forest floor, blowing in the wind, drifting in every direction. One moment, the wanderer thought they had found the path, only to find that the path wasn't there at all. And yet, as they stepped forward, it was as if the forest shifted ever so slightly, and the next time they turned, the path appeared again, in a new place, in a new way. It was almost as if the forest itself was rearranging itself, just as the wanderer tried to make sense of it. And that's when something began to happen, something subtle. At first, the wanderer didn't even notice it. It was as if the forest was breathing with them, and every breath they took, every step they made, started to guide them in a way they hadn't expected. The more they walked, the more they felt the forest, and the more the paths began to make sense in ways that didn't need to make sense at all, because the forest knew, and so did the wanderer. Now, the forest had its mysteries, and some paths were tricky, others confusing, but there was something about trusting that the wanderer would always find a way. It wasn't about seeing the whole path at once. No, it was about trusting the next step, and then the next, and the next, until the wanderer found what they didn't even know they were searching for. In the deepest part of the forest, where the trees grew taller and the air felt still, the wanderer found an unexpected clearing. It wasn't just any clearing. No, this one felt different. It felt alive, and it was there that the wanderer noticed something strange, but somehow not strange at all. In the center of the clearing, there was a large stone, and on that stone was a puzzle that seemed to make no sense at first glance. Pieces were scattered, some fitting, some not. The wanderer could have become frustrated, but instead they just started picking up the pieces, without worrying if they were the right ones. And something curious began to happen. The pieces fit together, even when they didn't seem to. It was as if the puzzle was solving itself, bit by bit, as the wanderer trusted the process, and trusted that each piece would naturally find its place. And just like that, the puzzle was solved, one piece at a time, without having to know exactly how it all came together. And in that moment, the wanderer understood something very important. The path wasn't about finding the perfect way, but about trusting that each step, each choice, would bring them closer to what they needed. And as the wanderer stood there, feeling the warmth of the sun, feeling the fire of completion inside them, they realized they had always known how to find their way, even when it seemed like the paths were scattered and uncertain, because inside them there was a knowing, a fire, guiding them. And now, just like the wanderer, you might begin to notice how the pieces of your own puzzle are starting to come together, too. And now, you might begin to notice that your ability to focus and trust yourself begins to grow, even when things seem scattered, uncertain, or overwhelming. Because there's something inside of you, deep within, waiting to emerge, that knows exactly how to handle it. As you listen to the sound of my voice, you may become aware that, at times, the way your mind works can seem a bit, well, scattered, disorganized, full of distractions, and yet, even in that, there is a part of you that knows exactly where to focus. And that part is there now, quietly waiting, just beneath the surface. And it might seem confusing how a simple moment of distraction can shift your focus, just like that. But that's where the magic happens, isn't it? You might even notice that the more you try to focus, the more the distractions come. And that's okay, because sometimes it's in the chaos that things actually start to align. In this moment, right now, you can allow yourself to trust that in the midst of all this movement, something in you is finding its way back to calm, finding its way back to focus, as if you're seeing every detail, every idea, like pieces of a puzzle, each part fitting together at just the right time. You may notice that you have always had the ability to seize the day, even when it seemed hard to reach, even when it felt like your energy wasn't quite enough, because deep down, you have that internal fire, that spark, which is stronger than any distraction. And as you let this spark grow, it will ignite an energy inside of you, a fire that you can use to fuel your motivation. And now, with every breath, the fire inside you is starting to burn brighter and brighter, a fire of focus, of drive, of passion, the kind of fire that only you can feel and only you can control to help you follow through and trust yourself more. In every moment, you can choose to harness that spark, that fire, because the more you trust yourself, the more you realize that your mind, body, and energy are aligned, as if the distractions begin to fade into the background, like the sound of a distant, fading hum, and, no matter how many distractions arise, they won't stop you, because each time you trust your internal fire, the more it will rise, and soon you'll find that nothing can get in the way of your focus, of your ability to act, and of your motivation to create the life you desire. The more you allow this trust to grow inside of you, the more you will notice that your mind, your body, and your emotions begin to align, working together rather than against each other. And with each passing moment, you will feel a deeper connection to your goals, and your ability to act on them will become stronger. Just notice, as that internal fire rises within you, that the obstacles begin to shrink, the distractions become smaller, and your sense of self-trust, self-belief grows, and you start to realize that nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop you now, because you already have everything you need. And as you continue to trust more and more, you'll see that the world around you begins to unfold just the way you've always hoped. Let that thought settle for a moment. Let yourself absorb that, and know that whenever you choose to, this fire will always be there, ready to rise, ready to move you forward with every breath you take. And now, as these positive changes continue to settle deeply within you, with each passing moment, the effects of this experience become more integrated into your mind, body, and spirit. And as they do, they begin to take root in every part of your being. You may notice that as you go about your day, the trust you have in yourself becomes stronger and clearer. The distractions seem less significant, and your motivation, your internal fire, grows ever brighter. It's as if each step forward is fueled by this growing fire within, and with every breath, it continues to burn stronger, guiding you toward the life you desire. And as this transformation unfolds, you may find that new, positive patterns begin to emerge, effortlessly, naturally, in your thoughts, in your actions, and in your interactions with others. Each time you trust yourself, you reinforce this new, empowered way of being. Now, in the coming days, weeks, and months ahead, you may begin to notice little signs, reminders, symbols of your progress. You might dream of moments where you are focused, calm, and in control, where you easily navigate challenges, where motivation flows freely, as if the fire inside you is lighting the way forward. You may notice a sudden burst of energy or an instinct to take action at the right moment, or feel a deeper sense of peace, even in moments of potential distraction. This is your internal fire, guiding you, leading you to greater confidence in your own abilities. And as these changes continue to settle, take a moment to reflect on the positive energy we have cultivated here today, the merit we've generated through focus, intention, and effort. That positive energy is not just within you, but flows outward, expanding in all directions. Take a deep breath in now, and with each exhale, imagine that energy radiating outward, like ripples in a vast ocean, flowing far beyond yourself, bringing relief to those in need, healing to those who are in pain, comfort to those who are grieving, and clarity to those who are in confusion or fear. As this positive energy flows, it serves as a source of strength, peace, and joy for all beings, seen and unseen, near and far, inspiring acts of kindness, compassion, and understanding, and reminding you that as you embody this energy, it carries wisdom, love, and service into the world. Now, as you feel this energy expanding, you can dedicate it freely, knowing it has the power to ripple through time and space, touching lives wherever it is needed most. As it ripples outward, it will also return to you, bringing you even more strength and clarity in the days ahead. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings find peace. Take one more deep breath now, and as you exhale, feel this energy expanding infinitely, sharing the benefits of this practice with the world. And now, as you bring your awareness back to this present moment, knowing that this energy is always with you, you can carry it forward into the world, into your day-to-day life, with trust, focus, and motivation, confident in your ability to take the next step, whatever it may be.